that is sort of going to be sort of the case that's going to be about this time and place at this hearing in Congress, and whether that was a lie that a jury is willing to say that that was not truthful testimony.
Welcome to Reporter's Notebook, where we talk to the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the stories breaking on their beats. I'm Jim Antle. I'm joined today by Justice Department reporter Kaelan Deese. And Kaelan, still a lot of fallout about the indictment of former FBI Director James Comey. Some fear, hope, think it might be the beginning of something rather than the end or the culmination. What are you hearing?
Well, we are staring down the barrel. About a week from now, there's going to be an arraignment for Comey, where he's going to be brought into the courthouse there in Alexandria, and he's going to be read the indictment, two-count indictment against him that accuses him of false statements to Congress and obstructing justice related to his testimony on September 30th, 2020, when he was asked by Ted Cruz whether or not he had given authorization to his deputy director, Andrew McCabe, to leak anything to the media. And he stood by his comments there and stays by those comments today that he did not have any authorization that he granted to make leaks. And that is sort of going to be sort of the case that's going to be about this time and place at this hearing in Congress, and whether that was a lie that a jury is willing to say that that was not truthful testimony. And it's going to be very interesting because, you know, it's going back sort of not just to that hearing, but to the testimony that he gave back in 2017. So it's almost like a testimony within a testimony type of case that we're looking at here. I think it's going to be very interesting because now, you know, making false statements to Congress, having a trial about it isn't something that's necessarily new in this political environment. We've seen it happen to Roger Stone. I've seen it happen to Michael Cohen even. So I think that it's not unprecedented at all for this type of trial to emerge. But because of the politicization of it, what we've seen with all the comments that Trump's made about Comey over the years, it's going to be a little bit interesting to see if there's a appetite for all 12 members of a jury to actually acquit him on any of these counts, or to convict.
Either way. So, you know, there are differing perspectives on it, obviously. There are some people who see Comey as the symbol of sort of the deep state's opposition to Trump, undermining of Trump during his first term, and then, you know, potentially involvement in prosecuting Trump when he was out of office. And others think this is the Trump revenge tour, and Trump doing the sort of things, manipulating the Justice Department that he accused his own political rivals of doing. Are you hearing from people that they think that more officials could end up ensnared in similar legal, you know, situations?
Well, it's following patterns at this point, because nobody in the DOJ is going to be outright saying that, you know, giving people a map of what's going to happen. But if we see Trump's statements as any indication of what could be down the line, we saw in that statement that came the weekend before the Comey indictment came down, where he was calling out Adam Schiff and Letitia James over the mortgage fraud allegations of whether they committed mortgage fraud. And I think that that is something that's very interesting too, because Trump's walking a fine line when it comes to should he be going after people for more egregious, related conduct. For example, the allegation that has been levied against Letitia James as a conspiracy against his rights with the civil fraud case that he faced in New York. Some experts I've spoken to have said that that might be a more less politically charged way of getting to someone. But when you're going after someone for things like mortgage fraud that seem to be sort of unrelated to their actual conduct in Washington, yes, maybe if they did commit mortgage fraud, they should be held to the same account, but it risks, from the public perspective, of just going after people for the sake of, what you were saying is revenge. I think that more so there's going to be interest in, where is going to be the limits for these types of cases. Will they be able to actually get a true bill on some kind of mortgage fraud case, or will other people, even for example people like Chris Wray, have enough allegations by Republicans of not being forthright to Congress, that he could
Right.
find himself in a similar type of dilemma that Comey's currently in. That would be a little bit of a precarious situation because Wray was appointed by Trump in his first term.
Right.
And it would also be maybe not, there wouldn't be that historic angle of animosity that Republicans have levied at Comey. Obviously, there's a lot of problems that they have with Wray, but there is a big distinction between the two, I think.
What's the latest with Kilmar Abrego Garcia?
Yeah, so Abrego Garcia is sort of getting to the final rounds that he's been in for a long time of litigation, trying to stay here in the country. There was an immigration judge that upheld a prior immigration court ruling from 2019 against him just this week and dismissed or rejected his claims that he was trying to get asylum. Essentially, he was saying that there's a very narrow 90-day window to bring an asylum claim, and this is years late for Mr. Abrego Garcia to be making that kind of pitch in court. So I think that what we're witnessing is perhaps sort of the final chapter we could be seeing for Kilmar Abrego Garcia's time in the United States. He does have a chance to now appeal that latest decision in his case, so he's not necessarily on the plane yet to be deported somewhere, but we have been hearing different talks about where he could be deported to a third country. It's not entirely certain yet where he's going to go, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of favorability going his way when it comes to staying in the United States. That's
right.
clear.
As certainly the legal situation for him is a little bit perilous, but some Democrats have tried to make him the public face of the Trump mass deportation program.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a problem, I would say, because I think that we can go back to all these ICE high-profile immigration cases where even the Mahmoud Khalil case had a lot of scrutiny against it because it involved his speech on college campuses about the Gaza war. But whenever you unpack his case a little bit more, and if the predicate isn't necessarily the speech issue, then you look a little bit closer, and he misrepresented himself on his immigration paperwork. Talking about where he originated from. He wasn't forthright on that paperwork. For Kilmar Abrego Garcia, he was never legally in the country in the first place. So while it happens at a time when Trump is ramping up his rhetoric about illegal immigration, there hasn't been a single case that I've seen in this high-profile nature of immigration cases where the administration isn't right on the legal side. On the procedural side, they've maybe jumped the gun, but when it comes to whether or not this person should remain in the country, I think that they've had a pretty good track record of pointing out those types of subjects.
Thank you, Kaelan.
Thank you.
You can read Kaelan and the rest of our investigations team's coverage at washingtonexaminer.com.